Today, I'm going to talk with Lisa Weinzierl, who is a dedicated AI and data strategist in the business world with about a decade of experience. Lisa is not just a data scientist, she's really a leader, a strategist, and a bridge between AI and strategy and innovation in the business world. She was head of AI at the Swiss Post and helped other big companies with their AI strategy. So today, we'll discuss about the AI impact on business strategy with Lisa. Hi, Lisa. It's a real pleasure to have you today and to discuss actually a very hot and timely topic about AI strategies in the business world. And I would like to start with this example of Klarna, which is a bank, if I'm not mistaken, in Sweden, a financial institution, who claim early that they will move full AI and for example, use their chatbots and agentic AI to solve clients' customer service, basically. And they were really happy about it. They also claimed that they will cut massively the costs of marketing by using AI-generated image, by replacing many jobs with AI. And they were really pretending to be on top of things. But very recently, it seems these weeks that they are rethinking about their strategy and saying now we might actually rehire people to do the customer services, and it seems that it was not so convincing. So I'm really first would like to hear what you think, what you know about this story.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Quentin. Yes, and then let's start directly with this hot topic. Yeah, I saw the news about it, and also like I was curious to see like how businesses really put AI first and go all in. But I was also skeptical a little bit, and yeah, it's a nice case study where we can see that we go back to the humans in the loop, variation and design. So yeah, I think even like the marketing department, I wanted to also create all the marketing content. And actually, yeah, it does not work. They go back and they want to rehire their marketing people, and yeah, it's an opportunity to get back the jobs. Yes, and I think that's a pretty nice example where we see that probably businesses jump too fast into the topic and put AI first without like adapting and rethinking how processes have to be, and also if the market is ready, and also if the customers are ready, because I mean that's also a huge part that needs to be considered. I also like the example, and I'm looking forward. I don't know if you're familiar with Duolingo, but it's a translation application who does a lot with gamification, and I'm learning Swedish right now with this application. It's really fun. It's nice. It's not a company who does make like is not yet profitable. They also like to have their business model with fundings and clicks and like other marketing and third parties. And they announced also to put AI first and that they stop hiring because they want to redesign all the processes. So yeah, interesting market right now.
So from your expertise of helping with AI strategies in big institutions, what do you think works and doesn't work? It seems that you mentioned something that was not necessarily the right approach, is AI first, and you mentioned something else that might be connected, is you mentioned having humans in the loop. So what's
Yeah.
your perspective when you approach with a company the AI strategy, or what are the things? Maybe you have other examples that you experience. What works, what doesn't work with respect to these angles?
Yes, so I saw like different strategies and how does it work. And of course, you have first to make sure like are you a tech leader or are you a tech follower in your core businesses? I mean, you can't cut off your cash cows and just jump onto another thing because it's cool and funny. You need to streamline your streams, right? So yeah, definitely with my background in like more traditional business lines, like you have to skeptical already, like within the company, right? So there you need another approach than we talked about Klarna or Duolingo. Like there you have to build sell the topic. You have to do like tiny steps towards the topic. You have to use the fears, and it's a total different strategic approach than if you want to be the tech leader and you go all in. So I see really these kind of really different approaches. And also what I hear like more on the banking and finance part, I mean, they're a bit further with their with pressure on regulation. So they are a bit more aware what it takes to be transparent and to be reliable in the AI area. And there I see also like some mixed approaches. So like for example, being a tech follower, but like at least a really fast follower. So these kind of approaches I see as well. Yeah.
So one of the thing will be basically working on the expectations and the knowledge. If I have to understand, if you have to work with the C-suits, with the CEOs or the top executive, is to manage expectation from what I understand, because you have some people probably over enthusiastic who want to be the tech leaders, but maybe they take it too far. Example of Klarna.
Yeah.
And you have the people who are skeptical, and
Yes.
how to take everybody on board to
Yes.
align basically with expectation. And how do you do this usually? How did you experience doing this within a company?
Yeah, so I think that's the key challenge, and also like the key success factors to make sure that expectations are met. And I mean, with AI, it's new for the IT departments, and it's a bit new for the businesses, right? And the data people, they were always in between these two huge stacks, and yeah, and I think this you can really see now on the market as well. And you have to do bridges, you have to translate, you have to put everybody in a room and really discuss it to really make sure that we are talking about the same thing. And yeah, I see this a lot. And I mean, I can also understand like that if you're coming from tech and from startup perspective, right? You need fundings, you need to make sales, you need to push your topic. And that's also what OpenAI does, right? So like pushing for fundings for users and so on. And I mean, pretty successful. But however, if this approach, if you're really pushing it a bit too far, we see that, different departments are not ready, the customers are not ready, the market, the countries, the political institutions are not ready. And then you have to go back. So I always was like a huge advocate for this human in the loop things. So of course, think big. Of course, think big what AI can bring to the table, like how an AI system in its best version could be. But then start small. Then plan the next step. Try with a prototype, and then onboard as fast as you can. Onboard people. Watch out for adoption. What customers say. What do your employees say about it? And probably you even have like human in the loop system design things, and you say it immediately for 2 years. And then you go for the full automated part, right? So I think at Klarna case, it's a really nice example. They wanted to fast probably. But it's probably their approach for the next 2 or 3 years. And this is something we saw also, yeah, like in economics, an economic perspective. We see that a lot, that the technology is a bit overestimated in the short run, but probably underestimated in the long run. So yeah, if you're really like not putting AI at all in your strategies, yeah, I don't think that should be also a part of it. But yeah, there's a lot of questions and problem solving possibilities in between.
Mhm. So would you say that an advice for companies, businesses, for again executive would be to start with pilots where you still have humans in the loop, and probably scale progressively, or what are typically the way you work in that direction? Is it the angle you will follow and advise people to follow?
Yes, I would totally give that advice, like to think about like small cases first. And I mean, marketing cases are really a good thing because yeah, even if you start with your newsletter generated by AI, and generative AI gives a lot of opportunities to do the first steps now. But I mean, don't so what I see, and what I really encourage is this part. So get started fast, make also your own mistakes. In consulting services, I really feel that also companies, they and executives and also businesses, they want to make their own mistakes. So just calculate these mistakes strategically, and then go forward with your small cases. But what I see is like generative AI is just a small part on the AI environment. And yeah, I always did not want to put generative AI in my title, and also not ChatGPT, because yeah, I see it really as a bigger thing and a bigger transformation. So I also don't want to get lost in the hype, and I really advise it to everybody: don't get stuck in the hype. But it's AI, and we talk about in data science and machine learning for years, and yeah, there's always another involvement and a part. And what I see is a bit that especially executives, they get a bit stuck in these cases in their support functions, so in HR, in finance, and in marketing. But I really, really advise people to make sure that they have also like lighthouse projects, or really things in their core businesses. And I'm pretty sure this will then not be generative AI. This will be another application in the AI universe. But also, like, there you can prove the value, because you get really, really fast stuck into the expectations that that there will be like value behind it. But if you're using only the small, tiny task automations and generative tasks, then you will not see the value. So I really, really, really advise, like, of course, especially in companies who are um, yeah, are a bit skeptical and have a skeptical culture towards technology. Also, make sure that the core business lines have also AI lighthouse projects, and talk about it. Like, it's really also talking about it, making it visible.
Mhm. So this is really spot on. I had exactly this in mind when we say AI. And I realized this because I gave a talk recently to executives, and I was talking about a different type of AI, including causal AI, predictive AI. And then I realized almost at the end that for some people, a subset, but still an important subset, basically when you say AI, they picture ChatGPT or a similar tool. And actually, I almost didn't mention any generative AI in my in my
Yeah.
discussion, in my keynote. And it was very interesting. It made me realize that indeed, even if I interact with a lot of people who are not necessarily like executive, who are not necessarily coming from the data world and statistics and all this, I was still surprised by how this is the case for many people. AI means Gen AI, so they will picture that you can enter and interact with a tool. While most of AI, as you said, for example, recommendation algorithm or big deep learning models are really something like experienced data scientist teams, sometimes not even one person, will develop and deploy. It's not something that someone who is not well experienced in data science, in machine learning, deep learning, will be able to create and use properly. So that was one very interesting thing. So how do you, for example, create this technology literacy in a company to help people understand? Is it usually you are doing this, or you work with the people within the company, the data scientist, or how do you bring this understanding to the company
Mm.
between?
That's such a good question, and I hope to make it precise. So I mean, it's part of a change change management approach, right? But you can't like change something towards a new process if you didn't create the new process or the new system. And also you don't get the fundings also internally. If you don't if for something that is not understood or for something that is not like clear enough. So that's so important to bridge this strategically. And yes, as I said, put like first use cases there. And yeah, I see like this nice triangle in companies. I really try to do it like that now in the camera. But you have IT departments, they need normally there are cost centers, so they need fundings first before they get started. Then you have big legal departments, they really want to protect the company and also the employees, so totally understandable. But I mean, you can't like just discuss a hypothetical tool, so you need to come up with a tool or with something concrete that you can prove for security checks, etc. And then where you have a product with legal terms and conditions and what does it mean. And also you have the business, and they want first, before they do the investment, they want to see like, Lisa, what are you doing there? And I'm trying it now to explain it. That I was in the position to kind of put everybody in one room, I would say. But I mean, one party really has to start. So either you do a small pilot and you include business users, and you just tell them like, watch out, I will show you what probably will be, and you help me to find where it makes sense to get the business value out of it. So you will have the concrete use case in marketing, the newsletter or something that is really specific and concrete. Together with IT, we find directly a tool where we can start. Probably it's not the best tool, but you get started really fast. You use Microsoft Copilot, for example, if you don't want to have GPT, you try out together with the business. And then you have like a clear setup for your legal department. So legal has probably their own use cases, and then you can make a decision together to move forward with these arguments, and then you can go to executives. Then you can answer the executive questions like, how do we manage risks? That's executive question. What value proposition do we have? Like at least a rough thing. Is it an efficiency case, or do we invest for rough possibilities? Like you have to answer that question, and you can't say like AI is nice and we have to jump on it. Yes, and definitely like all the IT questions, like you will have probably vendor lock-in effects that you need to consider in big companies. You have the adoption costs, and depending on the size of companies and the previous digital skills, like they can kill every project and every AI system if you don't calculate them correctly. Yes, and putting everything together, that will be the answer to put them first. But of course, like education is key, and meeting the expectations, and you have to do it like technology agnostic. That's my advice. Don't go with one vendor to your executive committee and make understandable one tool. That's not the idea. I really think everybody should, in the literacy discussion, should not focus on how to use one specific tool, but what's the concept behind it? What can we expect? Where our experts have the same opinion? I like this question. Like if you go to a committee, ask yourself like, which other expert would say the same, and where would I have like probably another opinion? So then just bring the messages that are really already like common sense, I would say, in order to really make sure that you're matching expectations and not too big and not too small. So I saw both. So it will be a challenge, and every person is really different, and every industry is quite different how to approach. And then I would really say, you have to continually learn. So all the literacy programs, they have to be continuously, not like a one shot, a one meeting, a 1 month, but continuously going into the team meetings, going into the show fix, trying to make it a topic, but always with these different perspectives, because yeah, I don't like the idea that the technical people are too technical, so I should not listen to them. And the business people, they are in their bubble and they don't want to talk to the IT people. We really have to stop it. It's not how it works. I don't know everything about artificial intelligence. I call myself really an expert in it. But I'm honest enough to not knowing everything and every detail. So we have to collaborate here. And it's really, 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 really key. And even the data people don't give up. Like you have to make yourself understandable as well in both sides, the technical perspective and the business perspective. Like it's even another step, right? To really make things.
It's really one of the main thing I'm doing with businesses is, instead of just, I mean, to bridge this gap indeed, as you're doing as well, is really you take everyone in the room and you teach them how to speak the same language. And this is valid for both sides. I mean, even if data scientists know the technical side, you show them how to basically speak the right, you help them to find and bridge this gap, find the right terminology, vocabulary, explain with examples, show them, okay, these are the different type of AI, so that's the impact, that's the different concept, with this is predictive AI. And indeed, most of the time, it's really feasible. You're able even to explain the core idea to non-technical people, but still rigorously, such that they understand the terminology, they understand which tool can be useful where. And this is essential. So because this connects to exactly what you said also earlier, is usually the technical people, the external experts, will not know what's the best solution. It's really they have the technical knowledge, they have the experience, examples, but then people within the company are the best place to say, this is where we should start. Of course, in combination, I think it's really a good combination of technical knowledge and domain knowledge. So executive people in the marketing department that are not in the technical side are very useful to exploit their domain knowledge, share it to say, okay, based on our experience, I think that this will be the best thing to automatize. It's the same for using Gen AI. I mean, you can listen to class, follow workshops, but I think the best is to try yourself and to try solving the task you would like to automatize, or you need some help, some support, and see for yourself, in your specific unique case, if it's useful or not. I think that's a great point to make. Do you have any examples of different key tools that you see that are very useful in the business world? So aside from Gen AI, so let's focus, because you mentioned also this, right? You're working with the bigger set of AI. And for the audience, do you have some examples, real business case studies where AI was very useful beyond Gen AI?
Yeah, so of course I have a bunch of examples where AI can really, 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 really help. I mean, probably I'm bringing up with another example than usual, but I also like the idea that it's kind of for every business as a topics, and that's why I want to share this one. Because like normally you also start strategically also with where's the business going and which mega trends are on the important, right, to make your company surviving. So I'm really speaking now on the as a strategist perspective, and for these thoughts. And like a lot of businesses are faced with new idea to be more green, going more into ecological productions, for example. And what is really, really underestimated, I think, with this approach is you have to measure it, right? So it starts with this is really a nice strategic initiative that starts with data, because you have to first measure like how is our carbon footprint right now already. So you have to make sure like where you're starting to really like showing results and making the right decisions in your supply chain, in your production lines, in your office back office departments. So you have to start with the data first, and sometimes like the status quo and like or sometimes we call it like maturity assessment for the project, for example, or as a company as a whole with this data first. And sometimes this is already a huge data science project, right? Yeah, I mean, getting the status quo number. So there's a huge data pre-processing, collecting, etc. Behind it. And then I mean to make clear, like for executives, like where to, which is a benchmark where you want to be. What do you want to tell in the media, where which number? So you need a kind of prediction already, right? So I really like these kind of use cases. And then you have to start to merge like your internal data with external like environment data. And for Swiss Post, for example, you can do a lot with in the international application part, like how to reduce carbon footprint. If you choose, for example, other partners in the flight partners, right? So you can choose there. And I mean, there's a lot of data available. You can just buy them to be as a buy-in. You can just buy the data. For example, OAG data, you could really buy them. They have like all the scraping work done for you regarding the schedules, and also like which airline does use, and which airline is probably helping you with your overall strategy in this specific case, right? So I really like this idea, and it's getting a bit too short, I think, in the green discussion, that it would really be core data approach. Because we can't see it, we can't see the climate change, we just feel it a little bit. We love to discuss about why it is too hot or too rainy, and the winter is so long. But yeah, it's a data approach that will help there, and you need even like, is it really as you mentioned, right? You are really deep into taking care of which statistical effect is really the cause for which kind of part. And I mean, that's a core problem that you need to tackle. And there are really, really nice cases within this logic. But you need to have somebody who's really clear about that one, and taking care that it's like fully data driven, and AI behind it. And then you have soon the connection to the nice organizations that I love to support, so AI for good, right? And you're not hanging out with all the discussions like and the regulation fears. So there's really something forward and for the future and for the next generation to do there. So I really like to talk about every kind of use case in this direction to make it clear. And that's definitely beyond generative AI, not using pictures. You can't use like the the text, like it's not helping you for that specific problem. And you need the combination of external data and your internal data. So it's really interesting thing. And I would like, if I'm talking with executives, it's that specific topic that I like to choose to make really clear that's not going forward without a strong data foundation, for example, to make this happen, and also to reduce business risk and branding risk for being not precise enough or being too precise. I saw every direction. So it's yeah, you need to get a bit your hands dirty in the data
Mhm.
swarms of, I hope
Yep.
not, but in the data oceans of your company, and yeah, making good decisions to help to realize their a good
Mhm.
yeah use
Yeah,
case.
so exactly. So impact evaluation is central. You really see,
Yeah.
and that's also one of the main thing I can speak about because that's what I'm helping businesses to do. Is basically you have because that's my expertise, right? It's measuring impact with what you call causal inference, the study of causality. And as soon as you think, many people in the business world will think, why do I need causality? Well, a return on investment, it's the return, it's the impact on a cause investment. So if you want to measure return on investment, return on marketing investment, on ad spending, but also return on AI spending, on AI investment, you need causal inference. And
Yeah.
surprisingly, you have many businesses who spends a lot of money on AI just by fear of missing out.
Yes.
And they don't even know that they then say, well, we struggle to measure the business impact, or we don't necessarily know how to do it, or we tried and here are some correlational evidence. But of course, this is all confounded with some other effects, seasonality, other trends, other things happening. So you really need this technology that exists and that has been here for decades to measure cause and impact in order to know if you want to scale, what was the return on investment. It's not enough to say it worked, it increased efficiency. You really want to know if it's worth the investment. And the
Yes.
second thing that you mentioned that's a very tough one is also short-term against long-run effects, which might
Yeah.
differ. I mean, I'm discussing this all the time. That's one of the main reasons that's encouraged me to do this podcast, that we have a lot of short-term effects. And I
Yes.
suspect that long-term effects will be different. Typically, if you think in the innovation, learning, productivity realm, you can gain in productivity on the short term by using these tools because you have the skills. You acquire these skills by wrestling with the data, by wrestling with your anything you're working with. So you know how to do it yourself, and you can just improve your productivity by automating some parts. But if you do
Yeah.
this for 10 years, I'm not sure that
Yes.
you remember exactly how to do it, and then
Yeah.
you're completely dependent, and then maybe you have many things can backfire if you overuse technology.
Yeah.
It gives similar answers, it reduces thought diversity arguably, it reduces your learning capacity, it reduces many things. So I think it's always important to track very carefully short-term effects, but
Yes. Yes.
also be very careful about long-term effects.
Yeah, yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, a good example is like I saw all the or responsible. I was also responsible for the idea: do we need prompt engineers? And and I personally was really skeptical because I had this. Yes, probably short term. You help like people how to write prompts. But I mean, yeah, in the literacy discussion, I don't think that we need like a whole investment in prompt engineering. And yeah, now how it does work, right? Like in companies, one or two people, they were quicker in adapting. They wrote for their whole team like the best prompts, and everybody's copy pasting it, right? So it was a short term thing, how companies solve the prompting problems, but it disappears, right? So and also like tools, yeah, they generate generative AI, you nice prompts, but then beyond, like what action do we change? Like which process do we prioritize to get started? So these are really
Mhm.
the corporate questions then behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
But you
related
are
to this, sorry, related to this, because I think it's a big question in the business world is basically sometimes you have large companies with many departments, with many structures, sometimes all across the globe.
yes,
And then you really need to have someone or at least a way to be sure that you're on the same page, that you know about all the initiative, because everyone wants to do AI in different ways, with different tools, with different app. And so do you suggest or see that, for example, a chief AI officer is necessary, or how do you organize this to have really this vision, transversal like vision of all the project, and how do you lead all these projects to be sure that they are coherent, connected, that they can grow, and all these things? How do you see this working? What are good advices and process to follow with respect to this in the business world?
Yeah, so there I have a really, really clear opinion. Don't try for AI to create a new department. I didn't see. I really can't see it. I think I make two extreme examples, and then probably how I approached it with previous companies. So I think the the strongest idea that I saw was that the finance department, they decided, in a big, large global company, they decided that AI first, put AI first. So they had like their chief AI officer for finance department, and they just hired a bunch of people, and they wanted to make it work. And what you really saw, like after I think 6 months already, you can saw like then now you generate dashboards for the dashboard symmetry. so yeah, no, yeah, it was really like not a valuable long-term investment. That was a short term, like we do AI, and we can do this with, not really the long-term perspective in mind at all. Other approaches, and like there are big discussions in the field, right? And I'm still I have my opinions, and I saw in my experiences that add up, but I did not find the one solution that fits every company.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can really, really see is that if data teams and data and AI related teams getting too big, then they are kind of the bottleneck of the companies. Nobody knows exactly why they are that big and what are they really, really doing. So they get easily like destroyed again. I would really say destroyed. So even if they are really high functioning and every good, they're working on the great and valuable stuff, but just because they are so big, right, in companies, they get also probably dangerous, and the idea of the control is getting lost, right? But also, like if you have a fully decentralized approach, so you are probably putting really an AI strategy for marketing in the company. You have an AI strategy for finance. You have an AI strategy for IT, you have an AI strategy for HR, you have an AI strategy for the supply chain, you have an AI strategy for the operations. There you need a central team to take care. You need a central team then that takes care, because you don't need 5 platforms. You really don't need 5 different generative AI platforms. You really, really, really don't need them. And especially like in the long run, you want to make a decision that is in production, that is aligned with your marketing department. Of course, there are like have different focus and different goals, but in the you want to make sure that you are producing a product at the end that is fits into the marketing strategy, right?
Yes.
So, and this sounds now like a simple discussion, but it gets really complex and challenging in big global companies if you are really looking for this decentralized part. So I think it need like it, but if you're a small company, you probably really don't need like a huge AI department either. So you really have to make this trade-off. But what is really, really, really my opinion is the data teams. They should like it's really we have best practices, data mesh ideas. So we have data management best practices. There's so much on the market that helps you with the question. So don't throw up everything and reinvent the wheel for AI. Stick to these best practices, because at the end you need corporate data and it needs to be protected. So I would really, really advise to make sure that AI topics, they are landing in the data team, if you have one. And then make sure that you have the decentralized input. Make sure that you are fast enough, not growing too fast as a data team. And make sure that you, team, I now see that perspective, have really the skills, so that the data team is up to date not like frozen in a project for 4 years, and they need to be the speedy in knowledge transfer, and they need to be the experts. And also a shout out to I think the leadership of these data teams. They really have to be the persons who can argue with the technical perspective to reduce complexity. They have to reduce the complexity in AI and not like putting like more complexity to the topic. Like the data leaders, they have to reduce the complexity for IT departments and also for the businesses. And I think that's what I see now is kind of messing a bit with the companies. And because if you want to grow, you need like probably more complexity as an argument. But I think everybody should really stay humble here and reducing the complexity of which you are talking about, and really staying focused. So and you need the tech back up to make sure that not the tool discussions get over your head. Right?
Yeah, so I really want to get back to the tools in a minute, but I have a question
Well,
that I want to be sure that we discuss because it's central with at least the businesses I'm working with. Usually like sensitive businesses, legal work, finance, health sector, where you have a lot of data, a lot of financial resources often to invest in these tools, but big risks. In
yeah,
particular, with something you mentioned early, is having reliable outputs and privacy,
yeah,
which connects to also eventually ethical
yeah,
concepts and following the just legal situation and rules with respect to privacy and interpretability or different things. What are your advice with respect, or how do you deal with this concept of reliability, privacy, and ethics when deploying, when discussing with a company AI?
yeah. So really good question, because I see huge demand on meetings on consultancy on this topic, but I think it's really clear, right? So because companies are clear which data they want to protect. Like normally, this question is really easily answered, like customer data, right? For example, like that's an easy answer for a big question. But for example, if you're using, or if this, especially businesses now start to discuss if Copilot or ChatGPT is a solution, um, then you should also do easily the connection that um, if you're putting like data inside of tools, AI tools, and you can name DeepL, you can DeepL Write, for example, no matter like which tools you are using, that are really not a chatbot thing, but or the presentation tools that help you. But if you're putting in data as an employee, you are sharing data of the company. So there's no discussion if you need another AI strategy. It's like the data strategy and the data protection policies, they are in place. They are valid for the next generation of tools, however you call them. It's the same, and you have to manage like input data as part of a data strategy, and every ethical discussion you have around it, and every code of conduct you have, and data security rules you have in your company, they are still the same, and you can adjust them a little bit in terms of lists or advices, how to prompt, for example, not like with like more anonym and more
Well,
synthesized, or yes, right, you can learn that, or you can help with the IT department to just make like standard configurations of the tools. So there are helpful possibilities, but it must be part of your data strategy.
mhm.
It's not something totally new that companies were not aware of.
Mhm. Yeah, and it connects to basically perfectly to the thing we were discussing. Related to this, is there any advice with or in particular with generative AI?
Mhm.
Why? Because usually with generative AI, it will go outside from the company.
Yeah.
While if you deploy your own, develop your own statistical tools or machine learning tool algorithm, often it might go to a server to compute everything. But here it's really you send also all your data with potentially sensitive information to, let's say, OpenAI, Anthropic. So what's your position about using these big leaders with some potential caveats with respect to privacy? I mean, big tech companies in the US are not really well known to respect privacy. So how do you deal with this when you advise companies?
Yeah, so I'm like originally, I'm really supporter of open source technologies, and why? So open AI started also like open source, right? And I really was not like supporter when they said, okay, now we make it for profit. I don't care like how the marketing strategy for open AI is, and like I see all the videos that there's not money behind it, but I doubt that, like, right, if you're really watching like where the money is flowing, like it's the like the motives are clear. And yeah, and I'm also like not, yeah, I and it's a success story, right, in terms of money. Yeah, but with the technology, I really help, and I strengthen the open source communities whenever I can, because I think if you have the paper where with the educational and university work behind it, that makes it all more trustworthy. And I don't think that it's helpful to choose a technology where you know it's that there are concerns, but then you put like your own efforts for trustworthy and reliability and
Mhm.
explainability policies internally. So then you are probably moving the responsibility away from you to the big tech companies, and you just don't care. I mean, that can be a strategy as well. It can be part of the data strategy as well, where you are which risks you want to be accountable for. It's a thing to consider. But what I really see in Switzerland, it is a topic, and companies want good choices. So my personal advice is here, yes, try also to consider open source, but making expectations very clear here, because I had already nice talks about it. Open source does not mean zero costs. So this is super important context as well to understand. But supporting a project where you can see which data was used for training. I mean, it's
Are there
essential,
are there
right?
chatbots where they share the training sets?
Yeah. You can see, so for example, you can really use on Hugging Face. It's the community where you can see really like which models are on the market. There are millions of models, so I'm also interested in more like shifting the discussions about what are we doing with the models, instead of discussion open
Mhm.
AI versus Llama
Oh,
versus
yeah.
Roberta versus
But you
yeah.
have cutting edge models who gives like really top-notch results that are competitive, let's say, with Llama, Gemini 2.5 or Claude and 3.7 or OpenAI's models. Do you have models that are competitive where they share the weights, the training sets,
Yes, you
and
can.
everything? Okay.
Yeah, you can really watch out in this open source community, and they share the data sets, and you can really watch out with the papers where they're really describing in detail what they did, why they did it, why, for example, they deleted outliers, or why they choose another data source. For example, there's a lot going on for how to label the labeling
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
process, like if your label, if an answer was helpful or was it harmful, for example. Like this is really individual and also like a cultural thing. So in China you have other weights and labels for that one, and there are models and also like processes where they show you exactly how they did the labeling process. Because I got a lot of advertisement now to help to train AI models remotely with your job, even if you have zero skills. I mean, you should then declare like how you got these labels into your training sets and put it. And open source is the best idea here if experts are accountable and they contribute to
Mm-hmm.
that. And then it's shared. And I mean, to never reduce the risk, like as you said, that there's this one model and that I can advise that's fully transparent and perfect.
Yeah.
But like for specific use cases, there are definitely models out there. And yes, and I can just share a link. Probably we can share the link with all the
Yeah, with pleasure. If
participants
you
for
have
the
even names
podcast
of
with
if
a
you
small example.
yeah.
Yeah,
If you
why not?
what would be do you have, for example, names of fully open source model that for LLMs that will be interesting to explore or make more popular? Because indeed, beyond the Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, eventually you have Mistral, DeepSeek. Usually it's this handful who are and Gemini 2.5 who are classified as like the cutting edge and not very other stuff. Do you have some that you would like to share?
So, what I would like to share for everybody who is starting with the topic, I want to grab a bit deeper. I would really support the idea to get started with Bird, like the simple, smaller model and not the biggest, and then grabbing deeper how this works, and then learning how transformers works, like the architectural framework around it. And then you can also have your own opinion about the big meta from Facebook, the models, or Google models,
Hmm.
or OpenAI models. So I would really advise this one. I,
Yeah.
I can share the link if you like. I think that's the best approach to
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah, we can share
who's starting.
about BERT. It's different, right? BERT it's
Yeah.
bi-directional and it's not like
Yes.
generative AI. It will classify and give, for example, it's great for sentiment analysis. It's also used in
Yes.
finance for central banking announcements or for
Yes, for example.
environmental documents, just to
Yeah.
flag basically the content and the intensity of the discussion. So it's rather kind of a classification algorithm rather than like the generative AI, but
Yeah.
for sure it's
For both.
still
And then you're ready and to wrap it up and make it for a whole. Then you have like a model and you can like easily on and then follow the discussions for generative AI, but also the traditional machine learning part where you have other applications and classifications. The market is not satisfied here for doing good classifications, either with images
Mhm.
or diagnosis data. Yeah, you have a lot there, right, to do without only focusing on the large language models right now and
Yeah,
get
for sure.
a
Yeah.
bit
So I have
tied
two
up.
questions to wrap up because time is running out.
Yeah.
One
So
is
far.
what trends are you personally excited about in the realm of AI? That's the one, and then I have last one.
Yeah, okay, perfect. I have a really good answer for that one. So I'm not like following too much more the generative AI part, to be honest, I personally, but I love to follow up now the idea that you put robotic process automation together with the intelligence of language models. Like I'm really following this trend. And also what I see more is that also educational research institutes, they're shifting to discriminative AI. So I want to see that one as the next thing where you're kind of, not going into generating something new that was seen before, but really using like higher sophisticated statistics and also like with the idea to get rid of hallucinations. So going back to the statistical work to accuracy, and then trying to modify the models to in that kind of perspective. So I really follow these trends.
Thank you for sharing. And one last thing, are you more hopeful or fearful about the future in the business world and strategy worlds based on the evolution of AI?
Oh, that's super question. Yeah, so like I'm an optimistic person per definition, so I'm also like optimistic and hopeful for the future. However, with the AI topic, and that is so political right now, that concerns me a lot, and also how managers are dealing with the hot topics are concerning me as well. I would really, really love that everybody is a bit stepping back and learning the basics again. And you can do this humble and not without pointing to the experts who can't make themselves clear. Or yeah, so I would really love to see a bit of a more shift to have the dialogue, to sit down, trying to have the other perspective and not these sometimes really weird ad hoc short-term decisions. So that's concerning a bit, because then AI is kind of a hype word that doesn't work, and you have it in companies for the next 10 years, even if there are really good, valuable use cases, and you have all the politics starting internally that is holding you back to realize it. And it's frustrating for all the talents that we have in Switzerland, for example.